This man has every reason to be worried about Friday's Steinhoff meeting. In short, the life savings of thousands of people he represents are riding on it. Dennis George is the General Secretary of the Federation of Unions of South Africa, FEDUSA. He represents over 500,000 members. Many of them have pensions tied up in Steinhoff. He'll be watching the live stream from Amsterdam tomorrow from Cape Town with interest mixed with trepidation.
The reason why we FEDUSA want to attend this particular session is because the Government Employee Pension Fund is one of the second largest pension funds that invested about 12.5 billion into the shares of Steinhoff. And what is very critical for us is that we want to make sure that the new board that has been proposed are being replaced by people with high caliber, and we feel that the current board that was there for a long time are not going to be in a position to turn the company around. And that's the reason, if they were not able at that time to uncover the fraudulent and corrupt transactions that led to the situation, they will also not in the future be in a situation to deal with the kind of problems that we're having at Steinhoff today.
Earlier this year, FEDUSA met with the Public Investment Corporation, the PIC, who managed the funds of the Government Employees Pension Fund and put them into Steinhoff. He wanted answers.
I mean, the PIC is the asset management company of the Government Employee Pension Fund. And through the Government Employee Pension Fund, FEDUSA affiliates, are major contributors. And as you know, public servant workers have the biggest pension fund in Africa. And when investments like that are made, it's made on the basis of trust. It's made on the basis that the management of the companies will act in good faith. They will comply with the fiduciary responsibility. They will demonstrate responsible and responsive leadership. But most important is the issue of ethical leadership. Because if you deal with people that is ethical, then things like that, what happened at Steinhoff, will not happen. But because these people have done things according to the accounting system incorrectly, now we're finding that the share value of that particular company have dropped from 45 Rand to more than 95%. So it is really, really a big concern. And what we want to see happen is that this company is going to turn around so that, people that put their money into this company are going to get a return on the investment.
FEDUSA has also asked for Steinhoff's financial records dating back 15 years.
Look, we've looked at the financial statements, and what we have, came to understand from the financial statements was the fact that when these mergers and acquisitions start, and that is what raised alarm bells to us, a company that Steinhoff would, for instance, acquire would be performing very weakly, and the minute after Steinhoff have acquired them without much to do, then the company sort of almost turned around into a miracle company that boosts income and so forth. And after inquiries was made in terms of the taxation that was paid, is that when the auditors refused to sign off on the books of Steinhoff. And that also caused the CEO to resign with immediate effect. And since that particular incident, we've seen the biggest corrupt case in the history of South Africa occurred and play itself off in front of our faces.
Benguela Globe Fund managers Zwelakhe Mnguni was one of the first to pick up irregularities at Steinhoff. He warned it of what was to come.
We kind of had a sense that things were not well at Steinhoff. And what it took is just analyzing the company in a bit more detail, that they taking cash, investing it, they're not generating any returns on that cash. That was the first thing. The second thing is this whole aggressive growth at any cost. We felt that creates generally a risk.
Nguni has since laid criminal charges against Steinhoff's former CEO, billionaire Marcus Joost. Should the board also be held criminally liable?
I think it's difficult to basically put charges at this stage. I think as evidence emerges, I think should there be evidence that supports that they knowingly withheld information, I think that would be criminal and they should be prosecuted. So we would certainly take whatever action, even if we don't own shares in the Steinhoff, we would certainly take action against the board members to try and hold them liable. I mean, we were quite disappointed that recently a resolution that sought to free them from liability or culpability was passed with 98%. And obviously, even if we were shareholders, we would have never been able to swing that around. But it's just a travesty for the industry that we are missing out on an opportunity to hold these board members accountable. And now we give them a easy exit. So, yeah, I mean, we quite uncomfortable with some of the issues.
Steinhoff will be holding its annual general meeting this coming Friday in Amsterdam. These are some of the resolutions it wants the shareholders to vote for. Steinhoff AGM resolutions. Discharge of liabilities of the members of the Management and Supervisory Board. Appointment of J. Naidu and reappointment of C. Idwan, B.E. Steinhoff and Cristo Wiese as members of the Supervisory Board. Remuneration for the Supervisory Board for the financial year 2017 of €755,000, likely to be controversial. Appoint external auditor Deloitte, who were there throughout Steinhoff's troubles. Reappoint some members of the existing board of directors. These aren't sitting well with the whistleblowers at Benguela.
If they were to be paid for this extra work, I would definitely say that they need to return the fees that they earned in the prior years, because clearly they didn't do their job. So they can claim what they claim now, but I mean, how about them returning money back to shareholders because they failed to deliver on their key mandate of providing oversight over the executive team? So certainly that is something that should be considered by shareholders. And I think the other element is the reappointment of the existing, some of the existing board members. And I think, I mean, from our perspective, we wouldn't reappoint any of those people because they basically were the people who presided over this disaster that is Steinhoff today.
And maybe to add to that, I mean, the other resolution was to retain the auditors, Deloitte. And again, that's the same auditors who oversaw the whole financials that are now discredited. And the board is supporting that. So, you know, one questions the wisdom of that.
Mm.
Ahead of the AGM in Amsterdam on Friday, the major concern for many is the lack of accountability.
The people that are supposed to lay criminal charges is the board of directors. Because remember, the board of directors have a fiduciary duty towards the shareholders. Now, when they saw what happened, right, they also went to a portfolio committee in Parliament to say, look, you know, this is what they are going to do. But unfortunately, we are not seeing any arrests at the moment. And I'm also very concerned, not only just for Steinhoff, but for the mere fact that these people that make themselves guilty of white-collar crimes, you know, they are being treated in a different way than somebody else that is being caught for shoplifting or for something like that. And those people that steals very little, they get, like, you know, thrown the book at them. But these people that are responsible for billions and billions of rands, they get sort of wrapped over the fingers and over the hands, and then they also get given an opportunity to pay a fine.
This whole 98% approval of freeing the board from culpability is actually scary. That people who are supposed to defend their ultimate investors basically sign off that, no, don't hold them accountable. So we hope that they can demonstrate a different tone and mindset that this is not acceptable. If these were politicians, they'd be skewered. But why are we letting these guys walk scot-free?
For now, union leader Dennis George wants assurance that his members' life savings are safe. There's no doubt that the Steinhoff saga has shaken the huge financial services industry of South Africa. It certainly dealt a big blow to confidence, with some commentators saying it could be the next Enron of Africa. That is in reference to the collapsed American company that dragged down many others in its downfall. Aviwe Mtila for CNBC Africa, Johannesburg.